Welcome back, everybody, to the call. And as always, it is your crew, your homies, Andrew. We got Bobby on the other end. And Bobby, hey, I actually want everybody to hear something that I listened to the other day. It has changed my life. It's revolutionary. All right. I want you to listen to this. This is killing Bobby right now. Look at him, folks. That is the face of a defeated man. Yeah, Bama, sir. Bama won the national championship. Thoughts?
Are we surprised though?
Well,
honestly, no.
We shouldn't be.
I mean, I don't think anybody was surprised at the outcome. I think people were a little bit surprised at the actual score, though. 52-24. Everyone's gonna think of that week 2 game, which I'll remind you was 52-24. Bama over Texas A&M. So,
yeah.
Texas A&M fans are definitely thinking, "Hey, we put up the same score against them. We should have been in." But I mean, look, I'll say this as kind of my overall thoughts, and then I'll let you, Andrew, kind of get more into the details. But there were a few injuries in this game, both teams, really.
Yeah.
There was also a big targeting call, I believe, on Alabama, right?
Yeah. Yep.
In the what was that?
It was. It might have been first quarter. It might have been right out the gate.
Yeah. So I mean, Ohio State's main running back goes down on the second or third drive of the game. It changes the entire game plan. Ohio State also was I think they might have been on their second string kicker or something, like third string kicker. I mean,
yeah, they were.
How much is that really going to affect the game? But still, I mean, Ohio State's dealt with these type of things all season, though. It's nothing new for them. It just is like a talking point in the media, I guess.
Yeah.
It's just something that we on the call have to bring up, right?
Yeah.
But Fields. What I'll say about this Ohio State team, watching this game compared to the semifinal against Clemson, there was no way Ohio State was going to match the energy they had for Clemson. That was a fact. Ohio State had been prepping for that Clemson game for a year.
Exactly.
And I just don't think they had the same energy level. Maybe you can blame it on some guys going down with injuries, but I mean, I knew they weren't going to match the energy level. I thought this game would be a little bit closer. I think I maybe said 10 to 14 points. So I am a little bit surprised in the score, but not in the overall outcome. This Bama team was too dynamic on the offensive end for really any team to stop them. The only way a team was going to stop this Bama team was they were going to have a bend, don't break type of defense, right? So they were going to have great red zone defense, and instead of allowing 5 touchdowns, they allow 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals, right? So that's how you beat this team, and Ohio State's defense just couldn't stop him. I mean, freaking Devontae Smith, he had a career day in the national championship in the first half.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny when he was accepting his award, he was in warm-ups.
Yeah.
He wasn't even in his he wasn't even in his pads,
Well, it's crazy, because, and you're exactly right. There's no team, I think, this year that could have beat this Bama team. I mean, too much firepower, and you've got a defense for Bama too that gets the job done. I mean, look at I'll read some stats here for you. Justin Fields went 17 for 33. The first half for Ohio State was their half. I mean, it was you had some offense, you had things going, but still, he did not look like anything like he looked back in when they played Clemson, a week earlier. I mean, completely
Yeah.
different team, completely different
Mm.
quarterback. So 17 for 33, one touchdown, but they just couldn't get anything going. And literally, Trey Sermon, to give you this, it wasn't on the second or third drive. It was on the second play. He had one carry in the game,
Yeah.
2 yards,
Okay. Yeah.
and he's done. So does that change the game? Maybe. But here's the deal. Ohio State's defense, and we talked about this last time on the last episode before this game happened. The offensive line was going to be a battle in the trenches, and Bama came prepared, and Bama showed up, and Ohio State just was overpowered. Because here's the deal: Mac Jones had all the time in the world, every throw, which gave Devontae Smith and even Waddle's back for a couple of plays this game. All these
Which
receivers.
Which let me interject here. Waddle should not have played this game at all. He should not have played.
I
You could tell he was limping out there. Like, imagine if he got injured. Like, just imagine if he got re-injured. All these people talking about opt-outs for the bowl games, like they would look to this game right here. And even like they could still look to this game because there were plenty of people that went down in this game. So, anyways,
Well, imagine being hurt and probably more than likely knowing that you're going to the NFL, and this is like your one chance to play in a game, because I think he's a sophomore or a junior, and it's been about 3 years since we've won a national championship, and so
he's a senior. He's a senior. Like all those guys are seniors because they're all talking about the 2017 class.
You're right.
Like
you're
the
right.
best was the best recruiting class ever.
You're right. You're right about that. But anyway, I mean, just whether he'd been in a national championship game or not, imagine being in that position. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have played, but you're at least good enough to get out there and run a play or two. I mean, I would have been that way. I would have been like, hey, I want one play in the national championship game. And what if that play was a touchdown? What if he scored? Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like you didn't really need him to win the game. So it's like, why do you need to risk having him out there? I mean, he had 3 catches. I'm thinking, okay, have your one play like Landon Dickerson at the end. Have your one play and then get on the sidelines. You do not need to get injured because you're going to cost yourself millions of dollars, literally.
Yeah. Let me read you some stats here a minute from Bama's offense, okay? As far as passing goes, Mac Jones went 36 for 45, 464 yards, which was for an average of about 10 yards a throw and 5 touchdowns. His QBR rating was a 98 in the national championship game, a 98 percentile. He broke lots of records that night too. Najee Harris rushing 22 carries, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, here's the deal. We knew that the passing attack through the air for Bama was going to be key, but give credit to Najee Harris. Whoever gets him in the NFL is going to be is going to have a good running back for sure. And I just would like to highlight that our boy Mac Jones actually ran 4 times for a total of 11 yards. So congrats, Mac. You finally moved your feet a little bit.
Yeah, he's gonna be the next Tom Brady in the NFL. Like, he's
absolutely,
gonna have like a total of like 500 rushing yards in his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but here's where I want to get to real quick. The receiving end, and this is what I was talking about again. The attack through the air. Devontae Smith. First half alone. And the reason he didn't play in the second half, Bobby, was because he got hurt. He hurt his finger. He dislocated his finger. And so he couldn't play anymore. They didn't want to hurt him. 12 receptions, 215 yards. And on average, he was getting 17.9 yards. That's almost 2 first downs per catch. 3 touchdowns. His longest was 44. Whereas last week, Clemson couldn't get anything done through the air almost, except for the first quarter. But it was like Devontae, and I literally made this because I was watching with my family. I literally mentioned this to my dad. I told him to watch and notice Devontae Smith when he ran his routes. The dude wasn't even trying. He was jogging. Like, I've seen Devontae Smith full speed, and he was jogging. So You got
Well,
it's
I will. I do also want to mention Slade Bolden real quick on his
yes.
one touchdown. I was watching that play, and it was God, what Sean Wade, right? That's the guy who was covering him,
Mhm.
and you could tell, man, this dude was just jogging. Like, so Slade came across on a motion, and they just kind of hit him on a little out route, like a 2 yard out route, go for the pylon, kind of touchdown score.
Yeah.
And Sean Wade was just jogging across, thinking he could catch up to him. It just was like I that told me everything I needed to see in this game, because I could just tell just Ohio State was just not up for this game at all, which is a
No.
shame because it was a national championship.
Yeah.
But
Well, here's the deal.
no,
Going into it, I think everybody knew. I mean, it was the hype of the media, which, by the way, I've never seen the media so excited to watch Alabama. Usually ESPN and all of them, especially Kirk Herbstreit, is
our
all
best
about
friend.
is all about hating on Bama. And but for the first time, I think in my life, I saw the sports media actually like get excited about watching this Bama team. So I
Yeah.
mean, between that and everything, you can only imagine being on Ohio State here and this offense, this whole Bama team is just dynamic. So really, I mean, here's the closing statement. This Bama team was one of a kind. I mean, we've had Bama's had a lot of one of a kind teams, but this one doing what they did with an all SEC schedule, and then just I mean, you got a wide receiver who's won the Heisman Trophy. You got a quarterback who's got an incredible QBR percentage on the season, and
Yeah.
just a running back and a power offense. I mean, Nick Saban knows what he's doing, and a lot of people are scared right now. And we'll get into this in a second, I know, but I just wanted to mention this since we're on the topic of offense here. That since Steve Sarkisian's leaving, that Bama's offense is going to be shaky. I promise you something, folks. Nick Saban is not going to let that happen. So rest assured, Bama fans out there, we're going to be just fine. So
Just fine. Yeah. Well, I do. So as we kind of move out of the national championship and kind of move towards giving our predictions for next year, kind of what we're expecting out of some of these teams in the future, it'll be interesting to see down the road, or maybe even right now, like comparing this Bama team to last year's LSU, right? Because they
yeah,
are very similar. Whether you want to hear that or not, those two teams are so similar. It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
A great a good quarterback, probably not an elite QB that can beat you with his running attack, but he can throw the ball. A really great wide receiving core, a really good running back that can catch the ball, block, all that, and then a defense that would had some question marks early in the season this year. Bama versus Ole Miss.
right,
Last year for LSU was LSU in Texas, right? That game
yeah.
that was kind of a shootout. Um, but seeing these defenses respond over the years, so it'll be interesting to see like what the analysts pick as their top team. Because I think nobody's going to argue that those two teams were the most dominant, at least in recent college football history. I'll give you like probably the last 15 years.
Yeah.
They're the top two. Um, so yeah, it'll
I
be
would be
interesting. Of course, you're going to go Bama 2020. I kind of want to look more into it before I give my thoughts on that.
Well, here's the deal. Honestly, I would love just to see a match. If you could go back in time and create a matchup between two teams that you thought were the best, I would
Oh
love to
yeah.
see the last year's
Oh, that would
LSU
be awesome.
versus
That'd
this
be
year's
awesome.
Bama. Like I could only imagine what that game would be like. Like it just be probably an outright shootout. It would either be an offensive shootout or the
No, it would be
defenses.
an off. It would be an offensive field. Let me tell you, those defenses would not be able to stop this.
Yeah.
But it would be funny if it was like a 6-3 game, like the old Alabama LSU
Yes.
games used to
Oh my
be. But
gosh. I remember those days. Yes.
not anymore, folks.
Yeah, not anymore. What
Also, I did want to mention. I looked at some stats comparing this Bama team to the first Nick Saban championship team,
mhm.
and it's crazy how the stats have switched, right? So that first Bama team was defensively sound. Like they were like one of the best defensive teams ever.
Yeah.
And their offense could get things done. They were like a let's not turn the ball over offense. Like let's score, like let's get in a field goal range, play the field position game. Um, they're totally flipped now. And,
Yeah.
and
Oh
I
yeah.
just think over college football history, the past 10 years, like you've seen that shift from a more NFL style game to a
Yeah.
more offensively geared sport, as opposed to the NFL, which is more field position, time of possession kind of thing. So,
Right. I'll say this too on that. Uh, as the high-powered, quick-paced offense came into being, and I think Oregon introduced that to everybody.
Boise
As that
State too, yeah.
Boise State, as that offense came onto the scene, Nick, like his before then, like you said, Nick Saban's defense was the thing to beat. Like it was all about defense. But a lot of people said, well, can Nick Saban's defense stop the high-powered offense? And he proved that it could, but the other question mark for Nick Saban was, is he too stuck into the power running game? And I think what Nick Saban's proven, and I think that's why that's what I'm saying. I'm not really worried about finding another offensive coordinator that's good, because he finds people to replace the need, to fill the need. And Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin both did an incredible job when it came to developing and installing a high-powered offense that was fast-paced, through the air, and running sound game still, all across the board. And so there's really nothing. That's probably why Nick Saban will go down as the best college football coach ever, because there's nothing he can't do. He knows the game so well and knows how to adjust. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to do next as far as offensive coordinator. Speaking of coaching changes, Bobby, we got some breaking news here today. About an hour ago, Jeremy Pruitt for the Tennessee Volunteers was fired following an investigation. Talk us through that. What happened here?
I mean, I don't want to put words into people's mouths, but it's sad to see people are having some recruiting violations. But look, I think the next question we're going to ask, who's going to replace him?
Who's going to replace him?
So my first thought was potentially Hugh Freeze, but I'll say I don't think he wants this job.
No,
I don't think he wants Tennessee. I think he wants a higher caliber job. It'll be interesting. Maybe
I know who wants that job.
Who?
I know who. I can almost guarantee you, Tennessee. Tom Herman. Tom Herman's
going. Tom Herman. That's right.
Tom Herman could go to Tennessee.
Clothes.
I'm about to
just go to Tennessee.
I'm telling you, I'm almost certain that Tom. We'll see here in the next couple of days that Tennessee hires Tom Herman. Dude, I mean, honestly, why not? I mean, Tennessee's not going to be expected to be a good football team in the next few years, but it's a decent coach, and Jeremy Pruitt wasn't getting anything done. I hate to see it because he's a Bama guy. He's a Nick Saban, pupil,
alumni or whatever.
But that's the thing, man. And here's what why can't schools and why can't coaches and their recruiters just follow the rules, man? Just follow the rules. Don't go overboard. Don't sit there and break violation just to try to get someone. Here's what you need to be focused on: get players who want to play for you, build a program, and you're not going to have any problem recruiting. That's what you need to do instead of going ahead.
I look at Indiana this year with Tom Allen. He's done a great job of kind of building that culture.
Yeah.
I know they're not quite there yet, but
same thing with North Carolina, man. North Carolina and Matt Brown. Matt Brown's coming in. He's doing the recruiting the right way, and so.
Plus he's proven it on the field, so that automatically adds this kind of like these players are like, I want to go play for a coach that knows what he's doing. So
right.
It'll be interesting. We'll see. It's also interesting. Indiana has hired away a Georgia Bulldogs defensive back coach to go be their defensive coordinator. So interesting there. So I do want to mention a couple things I'm looking forward to next year. So I kind of want to bring up a few games that we're looking forward to for next year.
Yeah.
So I know both Clemson and Bama have some pretty big matchups to start the season. I think Clemson's got the bigger of the two, but
no,
Alabama,
correction. Clemson's got the game to start with. We've got the Miami screw ups over here.
Hey, you know what? if Miami can stop the silly penalties, they would actually be a decent team. But they just shoot themselves in the foot every game.
I think of Miami as like the circus that's coming to town every year. They're enjoyable to watch, but they're really stupid. So
Yeah. No, I look. I'm not expecting this to be really a close game, but who knows? I don't know. I'd like to see what Miami. I don't know if De'Aaron King will be back by this time the season starts. Who knows? Maybe Tate Martell starts for Miami. You ever remember
who
that guy?
knows?
Look,
Yeah.
he was
Oh
the
yeah.
big 5-star recruit coming to Ohio State a couple years ago. But anyways,
Yep.
um, so then Clemson's got a matchup with Georgia in Charlotte, as
Yeah.
Dabo says. Got to get to Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Charlotte. Yeah. So anyway, so Clemson, Georgia. Last time they met, I mean, it was a pretty. I mean, it was a great game.
Yeah.
So
I think
look,
I think here
we'll get into the teams a little bit later, but this is definitely probably the regular season game of the season. Would you agree?
probably. I
Next
mean,
year,
I don't know of any other game unless teams start being
I
really bad that are supposed to be
yeah
good, and then there's
yeah.
matchups
I
that
mean, I could see Oregon, Ohio State potentially being a
maybe
good matchup. Um, Also, here's another one for you: Louisiana and Texas. Steve Sarkisian and his. I believe this is how he starts off the season. The Raging
with the
Cajuns.
Raging Cajuns.
I'm telling you, man.
Interesting. Interesting.
Texas could have their Texas could have their money. Like Louisiana could beat them in this game.
Yeah.
They
I,
beat Ohio's or Iowa State last year. So
that deciding factor for Texas is going to be how much is Steve Sarkisian able to turn
yeah,
around the offensive mindset, and I think he can do it. Here's the deal. I'm so happy for Steve because you go back and look at Steve's story. He went from,
USC,
USC to Washington,
Washington,
but through
right?
all of that, he struggled with some alcohol problems and everything. And then Nick Saban brings him in and works on him a little bit. And then he goes, where did he go after he went to, oh Lord, he went somewhere after Alabama the first time. We've had him twice, and then he didn't do well there.
I
He
think
came,
I think he might have gone to Washington in between the two.
maybe that's what it was. He
Okay.
came back to Bama, and Nick Saban worked on some more. And I think he's developed so much. So here's the deal: Raging Cajuns are gonna definitely give Texas a good fight. But if Steve Sarkisian can actually turn the offensive mindset around, and I don't know who he's picked as his defensive coordinator, it's got to be a good one though. But
Doesn't have to
I,
be too good in the Big 12 though.
I think Texas could. I think Texas could be. Don't sleep on Texas. Don't sleep on Texas. That's all I got
I
to
think
say.
probably their ceiling in the Big 12 next year is number two,
Yeah,
and their floor is probably
5 maybe.
five.
Yeah.
So I got another couple games. Auburn and Penn State. Both teams coming off a kind of subpar seasons as far as their standards go. Auburn's got a new head coach. Penn State, I believe, is keeping.
Yeah, they're keeping him.
Franklin.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know. This could be an interesting game. We'll see, man. This is at Penn State. So this is at Happy Valley. So
Yeah. Here's the deal. I think Auburn loses that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you saw Penn State.
Coach.
Well, yeah. Auburn's got a new coach, but you saw Penn State lose 2 key players right out the gate this season of theirs. And so I think everybody gets healthy. I think some new recruits come in because Penn State, that was a fluke season, in my opinion. I think Penn State comes back and plays some good football. Auburn's
and they also turned it on at the end of the year.
Yeah.
They ended the season really well.
Yeah. So Auburn's just got to sit there and rebuild. Because, I mean, you've had the Gus bus for so long, and the Gus bus pulled out. And here comes Boise State. I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn's field is blue by next season, if you know what I'm saying. So
that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Or orange. Hey, orange with blue.
I would like orange too.
Orange
that
with
awesome.
Blue. Yeah.
I'm sure you wouldn't like it when Bama plays them though.
Here's the deal. We go to. It doesn't matter what color the field is. It doesn't matter. it doesn't matter what jerseys we're wearing. When we go to Jordan-Hare, we about lose every time. So I don't.
There's some magic
There's some
at that
dirt.
university.
There's some dirty magic in that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
Anyways, we got a couple more. Nebraska, Oklahoma. I don't even know why this is a marquee game. I guess it's because it's an old rivalry from the old Big 12.
maybe so.
I expect Oklahoma to be a lot better overall. Like they turned it on defensively at the end of the year.
Right.
So I think Oklahoma is a dark horse national championship contender.
Right.
Instead of just being a playoff contender like they have been in the past.
Right.
Notre Dame's got okay.
No, I was just going to say real quick. The only thing that I've been hearing is just rumor, and I doubt it's going to happen. But Lincoln Riley has been contacted by a couple of NFL. I don't think it's going to happen, but I still think, regardless, Oklahoma's a dark horse because you got a great. I think Spencer Rattler has matured a lot, and so definitely dark horse. I agree with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Well, no, you're good. So I think the thing with Oklahoma in the past, their defense has just been awful, and their defense finally this year was like actually really good, and their offense was just kind of young. So I think if Lincoln Riley stays and they get some more depth on their team, I think Oklahoma could for sure be a national championship contender instead of just making the playoffs.
Right.
But Notre Dame's got two big ones. They got Wisconsin, which kind of had a up and down season. They had some COVID issues, so I expect them to bounce back. But Notre Dame is also losing like literally probably
everybody
75% of their starters, both on offense and defense.
Yeah.
Because they had not just a senior laden team, they had a graduate student laden team. Like the entire offensive line was like graduate students.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how Notre Dame is. I don't expect them to be. I think probably 7-8 wins is probably what I would think.
Yeah.
So those are the games that we'll be looking out for. Of course, all the big rivalries we'll look out for as well. But
right.
I want to shift into talking about our two teams for next year. So Andrew, why don't you go first and give me what Alabama's losing, what they're gaining, and what will be different, what will be the same with new coaches coming in, what to expect for next season.
Yeah. So obviously I think the big blow, or the two big blows, is that we're losing Steve Sarkisian, offensive coordinator, who has really developed this offense, and it just so thankful that he decided to stay and be a part of that national championship game, because a lot of those coaches, especially when you get hired by a big school like that, will sit there and say, well, I got to go. I got to get ready because this is my time. And I'm so thankful that Steve stayed. I think it said a lot about his character. But so, yeah, we're going to have to find a different offensive coordinator. There's been a lot of rumor about Bill O'Brien from the Texans coming, although I don't know if I want any of that drama that's happening right now over in Houston.
God, yes.
So I don't know if I want any of that. We'll see. I mean, like I said, Saban is going to pick somebody that he trusts and he knows that he can help develop. But there's also a standard that you have to reach. And so I think Saban knows that.
Do you think he would hire within, maybe? Do you think he would promote somebody?
I don't know. Maybe. I can't remember.
I wasn't sure if anybody was like veteran on that offensive staff.
The guy that's been there for I think 2 or 3 years, which I would not want him as our offensive coordinator, is Butch Jones, and so I think he goes outside. I don't think he's
Charlie Strong, an analyst for Alabama. Maybe Charlie Strong. I don't know.
Maybe so. Wouldn't this be something? Because I think this guy, his forte is offense. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me. But imagine a world in which Saban called Tom Herman and said, "You need some help. Let me help bring you on the staff and help, and let me give you some help." I mean, I don't know if I want Tom either, but who knows? Saban's going to do it right. But let me talk about the players. Here's what we're returning. Okay, we're returning 4 offensive starters, 9 defensive starters, and one special team guy. Okay, so obviously offense is taking a hit. All right, and let's look at some of those people right now. We're losing Mac Jones, Najee Harris, Devontae Smith. Right there, you might as well just have lost the national championship game. Jalen Waddle, Alex Leatherwood, Landon Dickerson, Deontay Brown. A lot of these guys I'm naming now are centers, offensive tackles, all these guys that we're losing. As far as
What about the tight end? Forrestall
yeah,
coming
Miller,
back?
Miller. Nope, he's leaving. Miller
Okay.
Forrestall is leaving. So those are and Deontay Brown. I said his name. So those are your not are let's see, your 7 guys that are leaving on offense, and that makes up a big part of the offense. Now, what we have coming back is we have Bryce Young, we have Mechie, and all these other guys that are coming back. Slade is coming back. And so all these guys that have been developing, gotten some time during the season, are going to be coming back. And that's the beauty of a Saban team, is he doesn't just allow his starters to play the entire time. He gets development.
Yeah.
So as far as defense, we're bringing back a lot of the defense, but we're losing 2 big key guys. We're losing Dylan Moses, who was a captain on the defense, and Patrick Surtain, who was one of our best cornerbacks. So we're going to have to replace 2 biggies there for
Yeah.
sure. But I think again, we got some.
Everyone else is coming back.
Everybody else is coming back, and then our one special team. I'm assuming that might be the punter that's staying.
Yeah,
But
because your kicker was a freshman, right?
yeah, so the key additions that we have, we're bringing in 2 offensive tackles, Tommy Brockermeyer and J.C.
He's
Latham.
good. He's good. Yeah.
Both guys are great guys. I think they're going to add a lot of much needed,
Is he
support
gonna
to what.
start? Do you think he'll start? Maybe.
Here's the deal. And here's the funny thing about Saban. He can sit there and recruit a 5-star and the dude won't start. So
Yeah.
we don't know. I think that all depends on how he does in spring training.
I feel like offensive lineman, it's kind of hard to get in there as a freshman and start.
Yeah. It
Usually, it's kind of
usually
tougher
usually
position to.
yeah, usually he tries to redshirt or just train up and allow you to get
Yeah.
into some games that are throwaways. The other guys that are coming in: outside linebacker Dallas Turner, defensive tackle Damon Payne. Literally, it's right here. I'm reading the stats. We got an athlete, JaQuincy McKinstry. So
Yeah.
yeah, never seen that before. It just is labeled athlete.
Well,
So
and then the guy I told you about, Contavious Kendrick Blackshear,
yeah,
also known as Thanos.
yeah.
This dude, I mean, he plays for Duncanville, which is around here. I mean, I'm worried that he's a little big for linebacker, but
That'll
I
be all
mean,
right. Put him in the Bama way.
well, that'll be all right. We'll just throw him in there.
Throw him in. Now here's the deal: put him in the Alabama weight room, and our weight trainer will have that fixed in no time. But the last 2 guys that we're adding, running back Kamar Wheaton, great things about this guy, and of course we're just adding to the running back core. So I think we've got about, I don't know, a generation of running
15
backs.
guys.
Yeah,
Fifteen guys.
we've got a full generation of running backs right now. And then cornerback Kyrie Jackson. So we got some good guys coming in. All these guys are great recruits. It's just going to be Bama went from a very seasoned team, so
Yeah.
now they're going to be going back to that freshman, that raw talent, and that. Trust me, Bama's taken a raw talent team and gone the distance. It's just going to be a little bit harder. So I don't know if I expect us to go undefeated next year, especially if we're going to play at Jordan Hare. But it's just, I'm telling you, there's something with that. But I do think Bama has a really good chance of making it back to the playoff and back to the national championship. And I'm excited to see what Bryce Young does as far as him coming in, because we've heard a lot about him at QB. So overall, but I think we still have a good I think we still have a good
Yeah,
season.
it's not like Bama is going from national championship to not even in the conversation like LSU was.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're definitely losing something and something to note. But yeah, you would be crazy if you said that Bama was not a championship contender next
Right.
year. So let's talk about Clemson. I'm really excited about next year. I got to be honest with you. I'm excited. I have two major worries, but let me get into it. Defense. We are losing 0 players.
Zero.
Everybody has come back. Even a guy that I thought probably should have gone to the NFL draft decided to come back. I just think I think a lot of the players were like, we just want one more chance because they just have this bad taste in their mouth from the
Yeah.
Ohio State game. So, um, I mean, everyone's coming back. We're bringing in, and the nice thing about this season was that we had a lot of injuries on the defense, and so we started like, gosh, we probably started in the 20s as far as defensive players.
Yeah.
So we built a lot of depth in these guys. Um, so defensively, this might be a bold statement to make, but I think Clemson is the best defensive team in college football next year.
Mm. I mean,
Um,
I'm not going to argue that right now. I
yeah,
mean,
and they were top 10, top 5 this year. And with everybody coming back and getting some more experience into the second string guys,
for sure.
I think they can be the top defense in the league or in the nation. Now, what does the top defense in the nation mean? Well, that doesn't mean shutting people out. That means having great red zone defense, like we were saying earlier. It's like the landscape of college football has changed so much.
Yeah.
So it's I just trust me. I think Clemson will probably be the best defense in the nation, maybe top 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
So offensively, of course, we're losing Trevor, which Heisman or not, I don't think anybody's going to doubt that he is the best quarterback in college football and the number 1 pick in the draft, which he'll reunite with Urban Meyer at Jacksonville. So
that's crazy.
So we're losing him. We're losing Travis Etienne, and then we're losing 2 wide receivers who are seniors, and then 1 offensive lineman. So now that we know who's gone, well, who's going to be there next year on the offense?
Yeah, tell us, Bobby, who's coming?
We just got word earlier this week that Justin Ross, remember that guy, the phenom freshman who just totally lit up Bama in that championship game 2 years ago. He made a name for himself, so he will be back. I don't know how he's going to be because he's coming off of a spine injury, so I just don't know.
Yeah.
What he'll look like, but he's going to be there. So what are my 2 worries? They're the same worries I had this past year. The offensive line, because we got a bunch of young guys and we have a new quarterback and a new running back. So I think offensive line, I don't know if this experience they got this year will help them for this coming season. So that will just be we'll have to figure that out as the season goes.
Yeah.
And then at running back, and I'll tell you why. Because we don't have a guy that was behind Travis Etienne. Right?
Yeah.
So we didn't have a second string guy that was like, you can put him in and he gets the same production as Etienne.
Right.
So I think what Clemson will do next year is they're going to have a 2-back system. Kind of like what Notre Dame and North Carolina did this year.
Sure.
Where 2 guys that kind of get equal carries. So be on the lookout for that. And then also some notable news, our offensive coordinator is now the coach for the tight ends. So I expect the Clemson offense to use the tight ends more.
A little bit more, yeah.
Yep. So
I think Clemson may have learned something from Ohio State in that too, because Ohio State lit it up with their tight ends. So
yeah. So those are kind of my initial thoughts. Championship, yes. I think it's very possible.
So let's move into that. All right. Let's just give our way too early top 4 finalist
championship
in the
contenders.
yeah.
Okay. So I think Clemson, Bama for sure. I really like Oklahoma, but I also really like Iowa State as well. They're bringing back a lot of people as well.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go with Oklahoma, though, just because they just have 5-star talent and
Hmm.
Iowa State just doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, and, you know, maybe Ohio State. I just don't know like who's behind Fields. I don't know who they've
Yeah.
got. I just maybe they're 5-6. I'd really like to see what Texas A&M does
Yeah, that's the
next
thought
year.
I had. But here's my thing. Ohio State, I think, has a rebuilding season ahead of them. I think they're losing a lot. Justin Fields, I don't know who's behind him. And Ryan Day, like Ryan Day built his team up so much in that championship game and said they were completely ready for that championship and then just completely blew it for me. Like honestly, as a Bama fan, I was shocked how easy it was to win the game. So
Yeah.
I think we have a rebuilding season coming for Ohio State. So here's my top four. I think Bama and Clemson for sure. If that's probably could potentially be your title game. And then I put Oklahoma at number three. I think Notre Dame won't be back in the top four for quite some time.
No.
Here's my number four. Now I need to. It could change when we get back into the football season. I want to see how Texas A&M if they've changed any as far as getting going and playing consistent. But here's who I'm telling you, he will have his team if it's not this next year in the next year in the top four. But I'm gonna put him in there early. North Carolina, number four.
Wow.
Mac Brown,
North
serious man.
Carolina.
Mac Brown, and look,
Dude.
everybody's thinking right now, dude, A&M blew out North Carolina. Well, if you watch the game, that game was so close, and into the final minutes of like 2 or 3 minutes of the game,
North Carolina was also playing like second and third strings. Like
yeah,
they
score did
had
not reflect.
completed. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know if North Carolina is 4 though. I would venture to put Georgia up there as well.
Well,
Georgia's
here's my
bringing back a
thing.
lot of people.
Here's my
But
thing about Georgia.
Georgia does play Clemson and I guess potentially Bama in the championship. So they would have to win one of those to be considered. So I just don't know if they can win one of those. I don't know. That's why I think they might be out.
I think Georgia, this is like, Kirby Smart's been there for 4 years now. I think this is a defining year for Georgia. Does Georgia come out and beat Clemson and make a statement and then go undefeated until they play a potential Bama team? I don't know. If they don't beat Clemson, I think automatically that tells me that there either needs to be some work done in recruiting because Georgia's got a good recruiting class, but what's happening? Like we should be able to see the results of that. So if we're not seeing the results, what's going on? I don't think Kirby Smart's in trouble. I'm not going to go as far to say as he's in trouble, but I think that this is a defining year for Georgia. Now, I want to say something real quick before we move on from here, because I need to get this rant in real quick. Michigan, why have you not fired Jim Harbaugh? Please explain to me why Jim Harbaugh still exists. I mean, I would sit there and move to Michigan to coach Michigan myself because it's embarrassing to see the Wolverines playing backyard pickup football. It's like literally, I'll tell you what it is. I'm watching Michigan play what I used to play on my old Game Boy. You remember the old Game Boys, the little backyard football animated game? That's what I'm watching them. That's like it's trash. And this is a big school. Like this is a big. You got your basketball team and your women's basketball team carrying the school right now because you guys can't get it together. Jim Harbaugh needs to go.
But he's
completely.
Not. He got an extension.
And why he got an extension, I can't even begin to tell you. Unless Michigan just wants to suck at football, which doesn't even make sense.
I don't know.
I don't know
why they extended him, but
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they can finally beat Ohio State. He hasn't beaten Ohio State yet.
No,
if you can't beat Ohio State, I don't know why you're there at Michigan. That's what the Michigan coach is there supposed to do.
Yeah,
beat Michigan State, beat your little brother, and then beat Ohio State.
Yeah. I don't know. It's very confusing to me. I'm very concerned for the Wolverines.
Hey, I could care less, man.
I'm just saying, like you used to have these good games. Like you used to hear, yeah, that would be a marquee game if Michigan was good. Like Michigan and Michigan, great team. But no, the last 3 years, it's like who's Michigan?
They're
Oh,
the
oh,
Wolverines.
that team.
Oh,
See,
that team.
that team that just lost to Alcorn State, that's right down the road or right up the
Yeah.
road from me. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know, but well, look, hey, how about we take a commercial break and then switch the gears a little bit, and we'll talk about some big basketball stuff coming up because we are in basketball season. We're full swing, and we got a couple of things we want to talk about. So, how about that? Does that sound good to you, Bobby? Are we good?
Yeah, that
Commercial
sounds good to
break.
me.
All right,
I'm
everybody, we'll
fine
be
with
right
that.
back. See, on the call. Welcome back, everybody, from commercial break. Now we are going to move into college basketball. And now we're going to be full swing into the college basketball season. College football's done. We might hit some updates, Bobby, if they come out about college football. But now our focus is set definitely on college basketball.
On
So
more specifically, March Madness.
March
That's
Madness.
that's what I'm
We want March Madness. We're getting close, but we got to
Yeah.
get there first. We got to, and some big things happening this week in
Oh
college
yeah.
basketball, some big games, some things happening. So what we're going to do, folks, we're actually going to start from the 9th of January. We're
Yeah.
going to walk
Yes.
through some games. So
Totally.
Bobby, why don't you highlight the first? I know you want to talk about this one. Tell me about, because you harped on both teams, really. Tell me about the Texas West Virginia matchup, 2-point win for Texas. What's going
Dude,
on here?
I'm telling you, man, Texas is legit. I know we're gonna get to it later. They lost to Texas Tech earlier or late last week off a really good play by Mac McCullough. Is that how you say it? Mac McCullough, whatever. Um, but I'm telling you, man, Texas, West Virginia, those are two of the top four teams at least in the Big 12. And I've been riding that Mountaineer train all year long. So um, you know, I think this just shows that Texas um, is a legit contender for the Big 12.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it was away. It was at West Virginia in Morgantown. Um, yeah, this is a very tight game. Looks like
yeah.
looks like Texas had a game winner with 2 seconds to go. So I mean, that just shows you how close the game this was. Um,
I think you're right. I think both. And by the way, I'm sorry I'm coughing so much. I literally just swallowed the complete wrong way. Um, we're good. We're getting there. Um, Texas. Here's the deal with Texas, man. They are looking so hot right now. And I know they lost to Texas Tech, and we'll get there. Fluke game, in my opinion. I think they bounced back pretty quick. But I think this shows you how big. And we've hit on this. We've hit on this. We've hit on this. Your other conferences, Big 12, Big East, all these other conferences, Big 10, some of the Big 10 teams, even the SEC, we'll get there too, are making a rise this year, and you're seeing the ACC still struggle. And
the
so,
ACC doesn't know who the top team is. That's a
no,
problem. Nobody knows what the top team in the ACC is.
no. So, but as far as Texas go, I think Texas has got a good team. I would not count the Texas Tech loss as a
I
as a
think I think Texas is at least Elite Eight. What do you think? I
Oh,
think they're
I definitely put them in the Elite Eight right now for sure. Elite Eight, I'm locking them in, unless something crazy happens the second half of the season. But
yeah.
lock in for the Elite Eight for sure. And I would even say, I mean, I know West Virginia's dropped some games, but they dropped some games to some good teams, and it's not like they've
Yeah.
been blown out either. I mean, 72-70 versus Texas on a game winner. I mean, if I'm the ranking system or whatever, I'm not moving West Virginia far because I mean, you just
Yeah, they played Gonzaga tight. Like that was probably Gonzaga's tightest game against West
yeah
Virginia. They beat up on Georgetown, beat Richmond, lost to Kansas pretty heavily, but um, yeah, I still
yeah
like West Virginia. I think they're probably a fringe Elite Eight team as well. I think they're like Sweet 16, potentially Elite Eight. I don't know.
yeah.
Might be a stretch, but
Yeah, let's see. But yeah, I agree. Texas is definitely an Elite Eight team for
Yeah.
sure. Let's see. Let's go down the line here. We have Oklahoma and Kansas. We're not going to talk about Kansas because they suck. No, I'm just kidding. We'll stay there. We'll stay
Apparently,
there. We'll stay there. We'll stay there for a second. Kansas ranked number 6, beating Oklahoma only 63-59. Here's my problem with Kansas, Bobby. They can't ever convince me when they win. They're always having to sink a bucket in the end to ensure a victory, or they're having to come back. And I know they're 10-2 and they're 4-1 in the Big 12, but I mean, talk to me. I mean, I've seen Kansas teams way better than this. I mean, do they make it far?
I don't know if they can keep up this kind of, because like in the tournament, a close game, like you're not going to win these close games all the time in the tournament. So the fact that they're winning a lot of them now shows me that okay, maybe they can ride this momentum and maybe they can keep up these close games. But I think it comes back to bite them in the end. I think they lose a close game maybe in the earlier rounds. I don't know if they can keep up this. I mean, I'm looking back at their schedule. The only real convincing win they've got, for me at least, is against West Virginia. I mean, I'm looking back at their schedule. 1-point win over Texas Tech, 3-point win over Kentucky.
Over and timeout.
Kentucky. I know.
Kentucky. That's the thing.
I know.
That's the thing.
1-point win over Creighton. Big loss to Texas. Blew out TCU, but
who expect? Yeah.
And then 4-point win over Oklahoma, and then they just lost to Oklahoma State, unranked by 5 points. So it's like maybe this Oklahoma State loss is like starting to creep up on them. Yeah. And they have a big game tonight, which against the top dogs in the Big 12 right now, Baylor. You think Kansas keeps this close?
Against Baylor?
I think this is like a 20-point win for Baylor.
At least.
I don't think it's close.
Here's the deal. Here's the deal. If if Kansas wants to be able to compete in the March Madness, they need to figure out what's going on, because there's no way you should be beating West Virginia and then turning around and losing to Oklahoma State. I mean, unless West Virginia had an off night, which is very understandable. I don't like the team dynamic of Kansas right now. It's not a Kansas team I've seen in the past. That's why I've been all over them. And I mean, again, you're barely winning against a 6-4 Oklahoma team, especially if you get in the first round and have a Cinderella team who's has nothing to lose and is ready to play. That ain't gonna fly, So you better. We just got to figure out what's going on.
I want to talk about another team that's outside of the Big 12, but still in Texas.
Yeah.
Houston. They've got one loss against Tulsa, and that was a 1-point loss off of some late free throws in that game. I don't know if I'm buying this Houston team, because the American Conference is down this year a little bit. Like normally SMU and UCF and Cincinnati, for that matter, are top teams. I just don't know if I'm buying into this 11-1 record.
I mean, here's the deal. Their signature win is over 14 Texas Tech. Now, granted, I'll give it to them.
That's a good win. That's a good win.
That's a good win. They beat them by 11. But every other game, I mean, versus South Carolina, versus Boise State, versus Lamar University, versus Alcorn State. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know if I can buy into. Now, here's the deal. Let's say they win out. Now, they don't play any more ranked teams, okay? They don't play any more top 25, so that's going to hurt them. But if they win out and they win convincingly, then maybe I could see them as that 3 or 4 seed, in the tournament. And again, here's the deal. And we'll go back to Kansas for a second and use Houston as an example. Houston be that team that would walk in there and upset and beat Kansas.
Oh, for sure. I think Houston could beat Kansas. I don't know if they beat them. I don't know if they beat them like 8 times out of 10, but I think they beat them probably 6 times out of 10.
For sure. And that's what I'm saying. Like a team like that, who right now we're skeptical about a little bit, who's had a good win, could go in there and beat a Kansas team. So if you're Kansas, you got to figure this out. But Houston, I'm right there with you. I don't know how I feel about them. But Ohio State and Rutgers played.
Yeah.
And I was on the Rutgers train a little bit. I was feeling some Rutgers. You don't hear about Rutgers a lot. I forget they're a college most of the time, and they were playing some good ball. And the last few games, they've just continued to not be consistent. They've continued to not win where they need to win in the areas that they need to do well in to get the victory. And so
they've
Ohio,
had they've had what, four straight losses in January. They haven't won in 2021.
yeah, and so
So
and Ohio State coming in, I mean, now Ohio State's ranked, and it started with them beating Rutgers. This was a 79-68 11-point convincing win here. So I don't know how I feel about Ohio State as a basketball team, though. How do you feel about Ohio State?
Uh, I think they're probably mid tier in the Big Ten. The Big Ten, I think, is one of the better conferences this year. I think you got Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois. What's the other team? Michigan State, kind of. So I think they're probably right in that kind of like Michigan State, Illinois range, probably.
Right.
So probably mid tier to top. But
Yeah.
but here's the deal with me. It's like the Big Ten. They at least have like two or three teams that are like, okay, we know they're probably going to win the conference.
Yeah.
ACC, we don't know. Like, who's going to win the conference? Do you know? Because like I
It's
think
not Duke.
at least 7 teams in the ACC could probably win the tournament. At least the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I think the ACC is a toss up for sure, but I think my thing with Ohio State, they're always an on and off basketball team. Just when it seems like they're getting good, they slide back a little bit. So we'll see how they're doing. But I want you to talk to me about Texas Tech, Bobby. What's the deal? We see, right now they win big games and then they lose a game that you maybe would expect them to play better in. So, but they're in the Big 12 and Big 12 is booming right now. So talk to me about Texas Tech. Where do they fall in all of this?
I think that's just kind of like, getting up for these big games and not having the same energy level for these non-marquee games, maybe, is why they're kind of dropping these. I think that could actually help them in the tournament once they get there, because then every game is a big game.
Yeah.
But yeah, the inconsistency for me is just kind of all over the place with the Red Raiders. But I mean, look, I'll give them credit, man. They beat a darn near perfect Texas team. I want to see, have they played Baylor yet? That's my next question. Okay, so yeah, they only lost to Baylor by 8 points.
Yeah,
that's impressive to me.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Like, only losing to Baylor by 8. Like, let's see. Oklahoma State beat them too. Oklahoma State is a dark horse, man. They've beaten some good teams in the Big 12.
Yeah.
They've got that one player, Cade Cunningham. Only lost to 1 by Kansas earlier in the year. Yeah. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how they do against West Virginia.
Yeah. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
For sure. And I'll just touch on the Blue Devils, because we just need to get that over with. Hey, here's the deal. Unless I'm mistaken, because their last game they played was against Virginia Tech, the Duke has fallen out of the top 25 for the first time since 2016.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So I am just –
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the deal. I'm just going to be blatant with you. We don't have the best team this year, but this is Mike's fault. I'm putting the full blame on Mike because he's sitting there whining about, well, we shouldn't be playing basketball because of COVID. Well, everybody else is playing basketball. Everybody else is doing just fine. So get in there and play basketball. Get in there and coach like you would. Coach your team. Quit complaining to the media about it. He's really upset because he dropped 2 games early, and he never does that. That's what's wrong. And he knows he doesn't have as good of a team this year as he has the past few years. But, hey, it's a rebuilding season, so just play the stupid basketball game, okay? You've got Pittsburgh, Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Clemson coming up the next 4 games. I couldn't tell you which ones are going to be L's and which ones are going to be W's. I have no forecasted prediction
Yeah.
here as far as Duke or for the ACC at all in that matter. I mean, there's very few teams in the ACC ranked anyway. So, uh,
Yeah.
the ACC is just falling off the map is what's happening.
I
So,
don't even know. Like, and like we were saying earlier, like that I'm looking at one, two, three, four, five. I mean, there's 5 to 7 teams that like okay on if they have a good night, like they could probably win the conference.
right.
So it's just crazy how much separation, um, how little separation there is between each team in the ACC.
Yeah.
And nobody has really come as like the clear favorite in the conference.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Let's keep moving. Gonzaga rolls again. I
Rolls
mean, they don't have a
again.
good conference. I mean, I don't expect them to lose.
No,
Yet,
I don't either. I really don't either.
if they lose, then they shouldn't be the number 1 seed.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. That
But
they shouldn't be at all.
yeah,
Um,
they got BYU at the end of the year, which I think was that okay. They played them earlier. Yeah, maybe that BYU game gives them a little trouble, but I don't.
I was thinking about that the other day, that BYU game. I'm not sure, but I'm looking at Sunday now. You know, Iowa and Garza playing some good ball, 11-2. Um, so I mean, 86-71 win over a good Minnesota team. I think definitely Iowa is a lock in my Elite Eight right now. So
I
unless
think they're probably fringe Final Four as well.
for
I
sure,
would think.
I would definitely put them in the Final Four at this
I
point
don't
in the
know if I
season.
put it definitely. I fringe. It depends on the
Uh,
matchup in the Elite Eight.
maybe, but
Do you think if they get matched up with Gonzaga or Baylor, they're beating them?
well, here's the deal. I want to see Gonzaga. I want to see Gonzaga play. I know they played West Virginia, and I mean, what a matchup, what a game. But I want to see Gonzaga play some more like legit competition. No offense to the conference that they're in, but
Well, and they were gonna play Baylor at one point, but then they
right.
had to get that canceled. I don't think they
I don't
rescheduled
think
it.
they rescheduled it. But see, I'm thinking about okay, Baylor's playing like a Texas Tech. Baylor's playing some of these teams that have a really good
Yeah, that'll
program.
help them. That'll help them
Oh,
in
for
tournament.
sure, for sure. So what happens when Gonzaga plays Iowa and maybe an Elite Eight matchup? Uh,
Gonzaga
Garza.
looks good though, but they can match up with Garza though. They can not a lot of teams can match up with Garza on Iowa, but
It'll be
Gonzaga
interesting.
can.
It
Gonzaga can.
it'll be interesting to see. I'm interested, but I know just looking at the Iowa Minnesota game, great game between and Bohannon too. The guard for Iowa, him and Garza were syncing up and doing some really good stuff early on in that game. Maryland pulling off an upset win versus the Illini of Illinois. Uh,
Mhm.
I really don't know what to think about Illinois either. They're a back and forth team. Are they good? Are
They
they not?
started out super hot though. They
Yeah.
started out real hot.
So I think they're getting more into their conference, and it's just Big 10, Big 12, Big East right now are just killing it. So, what do you say there?
Yeah.
And then let's keep moving. Monday we only have one game. That was UConn and DePaul. All I got to say about this is I haven't seen UConn in the top 25 in a while, so I guess it's nice to see one of the OG schools back in the top 25. Here's if you look at Tuesday the 12th, Bobby, we had a game. And we're back to Kansas again, Oklahoma State and
I know we
Kansas.
mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
And I don't think
Look
Kansas
at
gets.
Michigan though, man. Michigan with 20-point win over Wisconsin. You think Michigan is a Final Four team?
I think
I don't
Michigan.
know.
I think Michigan's ranked too low. I think Michigan needs to be ranked higher than they are.
I agree with that.
I think I'm gonna make a bold statement. Michigan would beat not Wisconsin. Michigan would beat Gonzaga in a game right now.
Ooh, hot take here.
Michigan
I
would
don't know
beat
about that.
Michigan would beat Gonzaga. It'd be close, but Michigan would beat Gonzaga. I watched Michigan play the other night because I actually got to sit down and watch the entirety of this game, and They look good, man. They rock. They're in sync with each other. It's a fun team to watch. And again, I just can't get over the whole Gonzaga playing like, Pepperdine and Portland State and Hawaii Tech, all these teams that don't even exist hardly. Uh, it's I just think Michigan. I think Michigan would beat Gonzaga in a game right now. But that's a hot take. Who knows? I could be completely wrong about that. But I think Michigan deserves to be ranked higher than they
I
are right
hope
now.
I hope we get to see that matchup. I would love to watch that matchup in the tournament.
Yeah, I think I would too. I think I definitely would too.
Um,
Disappointed in the West Virginia Baylor postponement.
yeah, they're gonna play. They're gonna play again.
So,
They'll probably play in the conference tournament as well. Let's keep moving. Okay, so
the Texas
Wed-
Tech Texas game,
Wednesday,
Bobby.
we talked about that. That was a good, Mac McGlug for Texas Tech. Hit a three late. Can't really do much about it. That was a back and forth game.
No,
Again, Texas Tech getting up for those games.
I'm
So
telling you,
credit to
man.
them.
Yeah.
Now let's keep moving. Let's go to Saturday the 16th. Right. Mizzou keeping it running in the SEC. Man,
Let me tell you something.
Talk to me about the SEC. So I know we got Tennessee.
Look,
Mizzou's starting to come in.
here's my
But
deal.
Who else is coming in the ACC?
Let me tell you something. Bama's been inspired. Bama's been inspired. Ever since Oates made that comment and called Mike Krzyzewski out, it has been nothing but go, go, go. No, for real. Here's the deal. I'm being serious. I was talking about this earlier. Like these other conferences are rising up, and it's not just your ACC, your Pac-12. Like, I mean, we're seeing all the teams take it to a different level, and I'm stoked that Bama right now is at the top of the SEC standings, like playing some good ball. I mean, they beat Tennessee the other day. They just
out Florida.
blew out. I mean, continuing to play some dynamic basketball. And here's the deal. Here's the best part about it. They don't really have a standout player.
Yeah.
It is the old school gridiron team basketball. And I couldn't be more excited for what's happening in Coleman Coliseum and in Tuscaloosa when it comes to basketball. But
Coleman Coliseum.
as far well, you never hear that. I got to throw that out there. I think a lot of people thought Bama basketball was played on the street. But SEC. I mean, Mizzou still play. I called. Mizzou lost that game early that I called them winning earlier on in the season.
We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you for that.
But Mizzou's still making some strides, though. Mizzou's still making some strides.
My one thing with Bama though, I want to see them play LSU because LSU has a decent record as well. So I want to see how they go up against them because I know Bama showed it against Tennessee, but LSU is one of those kind of mid-tier teams that I think, like, show me this team basketball, right? Like, show me this 15-point win against a decent LSU team,
right?
And then I'll start to buy into the hype.
Right, and that game is tomorrow. That'll be on ESPN2. Excited to watch that game.
That'll be the first time Bama's on ESPN.
That's the first time Bama's ever had a basketball game on TV. I mean, it literally. I'm looking at it right now, and just to see a number beside Alabama is nuts.
Yeah, you're like, oh shoot, I clicked on the wrong page.
I'm on the football page.
I was on the football page.
Well, really, I mean, that wouldn't even be right either. I mean, it'd probably be like on the women's lacrosse team or something. But I don't know.
But dude, let me talk about Clemson for a second. 35 points against Virginia. Oh my gosh! I mean, look,
Bobby was a
good team.
Give me a
good team.
Give me a case. Give me a case though, because here's the deal. Clemson, I think, is still a good team. So give me a case for why Clemson still can make a run.
I think they're deep. That's why I think I like them in the tournament. They like we mentioned, I think last week, they rotate 5 guys at a time. It's like a shift change in hockey. They don't just sub in one guy. they are a really deep team, and so I think that's what helps them in the tournament. Like, let's say one or two guys get into foul trouble, like you can bring in these guys that have played a lot this
Yeah.
year. Um,
So let me ask this question.
yeah.
Uh, what if Clemson right now
Okay.
were to match up again against Alabama? Now Alabama's gotten in how does that game play? How does that game play out?
Interesting. I still like Clemson's defense. They're really good defensively. Just if they get cold on offense, like that's what kills them. That's
Yep.
in a lot of their games they've lost. They've just gone on cold streaks. Not scoring for like 6 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, so the Bama game was an 8-point win. I don't know. I maybe think Bama wins that just because they're hotter.
Yeah.
They got
Here's
this
the
hot
deal.
streak.
So let me pick your brain about this. Let's say Bama continues to be hot and they go and they win the SEC title. They get a decent bid in the tournament and everything like that. Do you think they can compete? Do you think they make it further than a round of 32? Well, let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way. Is Bama the team? Could Bama be the team to beat a Kansas team in one of those 2 rounds?
I don't know about that. I don't know if they could beat Kansas. Kansas has 5 stars as their starting 5, and Alabama's maybe got 1 5-star on their team, if any.
I don't think Bama knows what the term 5-star means.
Yeah, I don't think they beat Kansas.
Yeah.
Maybe they beat I could see them beating like Ohio State, like a team like that, maybe.
Maybe so.
Second round or first round, like a matchup like that, maybe.
It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see both Clemson and Alabama, how these teams usually aren't thought of as basketball schools, how they've kind of made a little
ranked.
Now they're ranked. Now they're both making a run. So how does that affect things? Honestly, watch us both say like, oh, they'll make it like maybe to the round of 32, and they'll end up in the like Elite Eight or something. That would be dope.
If they do, like I don't know what I would do if Clemson basketball actually like performed well in the tournament. I don't know what I would do. I've never experienced it. So
well, here's a way out in left field thing. I mean, this is not going to happen. I mean, if it happens, I will do something so crazy that I mean, people wouldn't be able to believe it, but because I know it's not going to happen. But what if Bama and Clemson somehow played their best brand of basketball and made it and played in a championship game? Could you imagine like Bama and Clemson football, Bama and Clemson basketball? Like it's just the never-ending saga of Bama and Clemson.
That will never happen.
Never happen.
Right now.
Guaranteed.
And if it does, I will be open to suggestions about what craziness I will do.
Oh, me too. I'm completely there.
I would literally do anything. But anyways, let's move on to this week, kind of what we're previewing. Obviously, we got the big game tonight, Kansas and Baylor. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? Bama, LSU, like I mentioned earlier.
Yep. That Oklahoma State West Virginia game, you might want to look out there. That might be an interesting watch.
Oklahoma State's look good against these big teams. I don't know, upset alert maybe.
Yeah, maybe so.
Let's see, Tulsa and Houston. Okay, Houston's only loss was against Tulsa. So
got a little rematch action here.
I would think Houston comes out and like blows the doors off.
Yeah, I expect that too. I definitely expect that. I'm looking here. We've got really these are a bunch of. I mean, maybe that game's been postponed. Never mind. I was gonna say that UConn Xavier game might be something to just keep your eye on. But Thursday, you got Iowa playing Indiana. I don't expect much there. Michigan Purdue on Friday again. I don't know.
Michigan rolls over Purdue.
Yeah, so let's get to Saturday. I think Saturday is where the big boys are.
So yeah, Baylor, Oklahoma State. I don't think Oklahoma State wins this game, but who knows? It could be close.
Yeah.
I like Oklahoma State, and again, they're getting up for these big games, so maybe they keep it close.
Potentially,
Baylor has a couple turnovers late. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Who knows? UConn, Creighton. I really can't say much about UConn still. I need to see him play another game, but potentially a good
Seven and
game.
one.
7-1. 7-1.
Yeah.
Clemson, Florida
Clemson,
State. Give us
Clemson,
your
Florida State. That's a rematch of an earlier game this season. Clemson won by 10. Like I said, I picked Florida State to win the ACC.
yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, Clemson has not looked great the past two games. So I mean, let's see if they can keep it rolling. Um, Ohio State, Wisconsin. Um,
I think
Man, that's a tight
Wisconsin.
game. That's a tight game. I don't know who to pick in that one.
I pick Wisconsin. Here's why. Wisconsin's got more experience. They just played Michigan the other night, and so they're playing bigger opponents, in my opinion. I just think that um, I think this could be a tight game, maybe, but I think Wisconsin pulls it out.
Mizzou
Um,
and Tennessee. What do you think about that one?
it depends. It's at Tennessee. Coming off that recent loss to Bama, I think they bounce back the next game. But Mizzou, I like the brand of basketball Mizzou's playing. They're on the road, so I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna go with Tennessee just because they do have the better record in the SEC and they do have a better overall record. Um, but I would watch if I'm Tennessee, I do not go into that game underestimating Mizzou. Like I
Yeah, I
don't.
don't. I don't think anybody's underestimating Mizzou. I think Tennessee needs to prove to me that they're a top 10 team. I don't know if they've really shown that this year. I mean,
Yeah,
let's look at their schedule real quick. Um, let's see.
they played
They beat Mizzou by
Cincinnati.
20 earlier in the year, though.
Yeah,
So who knows? Who
so
knows?
this could
Maybe
be.
Mizzou might have some fire under them just
Yeah,
because they got blown out last time.
yeah, that was their only
Um,
marquee win. I mean, their loss came to Alabama. And check this out: Tennessee beat Arkansas 79-74. Bama blew out Arkansas by 20.
yeah,
No, by more than 20. It was like 90 something to 50 something, I
yeah.
believe. So it
Kansas still plays Tennessee later on this month, so
yeah, and that could be an interesting game to
be
watch
on the
too.
lookout for that. Apparently, Tennessee will steamroll Kansas, according to you, right?
I don't know. I mean, I hope that Tennessee wins the game just so we can get Kansas out of here. But uh,
Yep, yep. Saw that coming.
I
Um,
mean, hey, who knows? Who
all
knows?
right, let's talk about some smaller teams. Drake still is undefeated. They haven't played since our last podcast, though.
Oh my gosh, Drake! You say that, and I feel like you're calling your dog or something. Like Drake.
13
Uh,
and 0. Can't lie about him though.
no, I mean, hey, those are the teams you're looking for too. Like those are the teams that the tournament's looking for your Cinderella team. So you can't sit there and count them out. That's for sure. Let's talk about our school. What is going on here with Sanford?
Let's
Timeout.
see.
Last time we talked, we were talking that maybe, just maybe, we have a good team, and now it's like the
Wow, we're
the
getting
the
blown out.
the beginning of this year has been nothing but loss, 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 loss. And I'm like, here's the deal. I know I realize we got a new coach. Everything's going on, and it's everything's crazy right now. In fact, I think Sanford's about to play, if I'm not mistaken, today. Um,
I think they're playing right now, actually.
and so, in fact, we could probably just for the heck of it, give them a little shout out right now. They're at the Pete Hanna Center, Bobby. They are right outside where we've been several times, and they're winning right now, 56-43 with 12 minutes left in the second half. So hopefully the Bulldogs will get back on track and end their four-game losing streak. And Western Carolina, 7-4 team here, 7-4 team. So, I just hope that.
They're 0-2 in conference, though, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's the Southern Conference. I mean, do you expect anything out of that? Like,
I don't know. We'll see, man. Look, Sanford 5-7. I don't know. I think we're a couple years out.
I think you. But here's the deal. I'm excited about Bucky Ball. I'm excited about
I
Bucky.
like the coach. I like the coach.
I
I'll
do
give you
too.
that.
I do too. I like the coach a lot. I think he's going to do a lot for Sanford and what we've been trying to do there for the last few years. Another team want to hone in on a smaller team. I'm hitting back home here again. We're coming back down to the coast, the Gulf Coast here. We're looking at South Alabama and they're 8-7. They're 8-7. They're on in the last 5 games they've played, Bobby. Last 5 games they played, they have lost 4 of those games. 2 now they're doing the whole Southern Conference or Sun Belt
Yeah.
things, doing the back-to-back game with everybody. So they lost to Georgia Southern after beating them 88-59. They turned around and lost 62-49. And then they went to Coastal Carolina and lost 78-65, 83-69. They beat Appalachian State at home 73-64, only to turn around and lose the next day 83-77. So they got Georgia Southern coming up again, Georgia State, some more opportunities against Coastal Carolina. You know, I just am confused because this South Alabama team has actually got some good players, some players they haven't had before. And I mean, you play a school like Auburn and you lose by 9 points, and then you go down here and you play a school that nobody would ever watch in their life, and you lose to Georgia Southern or whoever it is, Mother Mary's, whatever, by 12 points or something. I'm like, I just don't get and I guess that's the beauty of basketball, is that you don't have to get it. Like any day, anybody can win.
Yeah.
But man, I'm really wanting South Alabama to do good. We need to have some sport down here that exceeds well.
Here's another school for you that's actually undefeated as well. The Winthrop Eagles out of the Big South.
Winthrop.
They basically have only played conference games. They beat Furman, though, which is tops in the Southern Conference by 16.
Mm-hmm.
And they beat UNC Greensboro, which I think is like the second or third best team in the Southern Conference as well.
Right.
Who knows? Do I think they're going to do well in the tournament? Probably not, but I don't know.
Who knows?
They're
I'm
a good
looking.
team to watch. They're a good team to watch just for fun.
I'm looking at I'm sitting here looking at games for I guess the Ivy League decided not to play this year.
Big shocker there.
Not that we expect anything from them. Hey, here's a team we can talk about close to us. Let's talk about UAB for a minute. UAB is 10-2. 10-2. Now they're playing teams like Kennesaw State and Alcorn.
Rice.
But
10-2, you can't lie with the record about.
I mean, their loss only coming to UTC, Chattanooga, 69-66.
Charlotte.
They were going to play Georgia Tech, but it was canceled. And at Charlotte, by, I think, what was it, 12 points?
They lost by 15, but they played a back-to-back, and they beat them the first time. So.
Yeah, 61-37. So I think Charlotte got their act together. But, hey, I mean, I think they're atop their conference right now, I believe. And
yeah, they are.
And so, hey, UAB maybe making an appearance this year. I do know. In fact, fun fact, shout out to Megan Kennedy, a good friend of mine at Sanford who works in their Office of Spiritual Life with me. Her dad actually is the coach of UAB. And so, Mr. Kennedy, congratulations to you, sir. This is your first year coaching, and 10-2 is not bad for your first year, Bobby. 10-2 is not bad.
10-2 is not bad. Do we think they win the first round of the tournament? Probably not. I don't think they
probably.
Win the first round.
Probably not. Maybe. Who knows? At this point, I don't know who wins. I don't know who's good and who's not.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at seeing if there's any other teams that we're missing out on. We want to make sure we try to hit all the little guys.
Yeah.
I don't see any other
I think
small
that's
teams. A lot of these conferences aren't playing.
yeah. Yeah.
So, which is unfortunate, but which I mean, I guess for your bigger conferences, that's a decent thing because you'll get more people in there. But
Yeah.
you know, hey, here's the deal: we're just at the second part of basketball season. We've made it this far. We're going to make it to the tournament. Excited to see what's going to happen this next few weeks and leading up into March. Any last just comments, thoughts, concerns, Bobby, as far as basketball goes?
Um, yeah, I mean, I like where the state of college basketball is, even though my team right now is a little up and down.
Hey,
um,
my
but
team's making history.
overall, I like where the state of college basketball is, and I think this is going to be one of the more exciting tournaments we've
Yeah,
seen in a while.
yeah.
I
It's
think
not dominated
we're
by certain conferences for sure.
yeah, I think we're gonna see some upsets in March and April, and I think this year with the tournament being only in Indiana, I think that's only going to help teams because you don't
Yeah,
have to worry about travel and all that. So we'll see, man.
yeah.
I'm ready to make my bracket now, man. I'm ready for
Hey, and I can't wait for that because I'm sure we will do a whole
it.
show on
Yeah,
bracketology.
we're gonna have a perfect bracket, right?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Me or you
here
is
on the
gonna have a
call,
perfect bracket.
we expect nothing less than perfection. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but and we'll have a good little bet with that too. I've already thought about that
Oh,
as well.
I love it. I
I'm
love it.
sure you have.
Um,
Well, everybody, we thank you guys for continuing to come back. If you have not subscribed to this channel, do it right now. Click the subscribe button. Give us a like. Also, post some things in the comments. If we're missing out on some things you want us to talk about, any suggestions on what we can do
yeah,
better, give us those in the comments. We just really appreciate you guys joining us for this. We love talking about it and getting it all out in the air. And so we appreciate y'all tuning in. Hey, this week is just Roll Tide. There is no Go Blue Devils because we don't believe in the Blue Devils right now. So Roll Tide on all accounts. And this is your boy Andrew. Again, thank you guys for being a part of this. Bobby, I'm going to let you sign us out. And
yeah,
everybody have a great week.
yeah. And like Andrew was saying, this is Bobby. You know, although our football season didn't go as planned, our basketball season's kind of up and down. Still through it all, go Tigers. So we'll see you next week.
All right, y'all. See ya.
Peace.